The locket fell from the cafeteria table and hit the floor with a small metallic sound. I almost ignored it, but when I picked it up, the engraving stopped my breath. Emma Carter. My daughter's name. My name is Daniel Carter, I'm 36. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. Emma had been missing for 8 months. 8 months of police reports, searches, sleepless nights, and a house that felt emptier every single day. And now I was standing in my wife's office building cafeteria, holding the locket she had been wearing the day she disappeared. My hands started shaking. "Where did you find that?" a voice asked behind me. I turned. A young office assistant stood there, holding a tray. "This was on the table," I said. She shrugged. "Probably fell from the bookshelf display. Those decorations keep sliding." I looked toward the wall she pointed at. A tall bookshelf stood against the cafeteria wall. That made no sense. Emma had disappeared miles away from here. Why would her locket be inside my wife's office building? I turned the locket over. When my thumb pressed the small clasp, something inside clicked. A mechanical sound echoed softly behind the bookshelf. Then the entire shelf moved, slowly, revealing a narrow hidden doorway. My heart stopped. I stepped closer. Inside was a small room. Dim light, a thin mattress, and sitting on the bed was my daughter. Weak, dirty, and staring at me like she wasn't sure if I was real. For a moment I couldn't move. My brain refused to accept what I was seeing. "Emma?" I whispered. My daughter blinked slowly. Her eyes looked tired, hollow, like someone who hadn't slept properly in months. "Dad?" she said weakly. That was enough. I rushed into the hidden room and dropped to my knees beside the bed. She felt lighter than I remembered when I pulled her into my arms. "Too light. What happened to you?" I asked. Emma clung to me like she was afraid I might disappear again. "I thought, you stopped looking for me," she murmured. The words felt like a knife. "Never," I said quickly. "Not for a second." I looked around the room. It was small. Bare walls. A thin mattress. A single light bulb. Someone had been keeping her here. Right inside my wife's office building. My chest tightened. "Emma," I said gently, "who did this to you?" She hesitated. Her fingers tightened on my shirt. "I'm not supposed to say," she whispered. "Why not?" She looked toward the hidden doorway behind me, like she expected someone to appear there. Then she leaned closer and said something so quietly I almost didn't hear it. She said you wouldn't believe me. My heart started pounding. "Who said that?" Emma swallowed slowly. Then she answered, "Mom." For a second the entire world went silent. Because the woman I had driven here to surprise was my wife. "Mom?" The word echoed in my head like something breaking. "That's not possible," I said quietly. Emma pulled back slightly and looked at me with confusion. "She told me you'd say that." My chest tightened. "What exactly did she tell you?" Emma wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her dirty shirt. "She said you didn't want me anymore," she whispered. For a moment I couldn't breathe. 8 months of searching. Police stations. Missing posters. And my daughter had been told I gave up on her. "Emma," I said firmly, holding her shoulders, "I never stopped looking for you. Not one day." She studied my face carefully, like she was trying to decide if I was telling the truth. Then she nodded slowly. "I believed you would come," she said. I looked around the hidden room again. "How long have you been here?" She thought for a second. "Since winter." Winter. That meant almost the entire time she'd been missing. "Did Mom bring you here?" Emma hesitated. Then she nodded. My stomach twisted. "Why?" Emma pointed weakly toward the wall near the small table. "There's a camera there," she said quietly. I followed her finger. A tiny lens was hidden inside a vent. Someone had been watching this room. Watching her. Watching everything. Then Emma whispered something that made the situation even worse. "She checks on me every night after everyone leaves the office." The sound of footsteps suddenly echoed outside the bookshelf. My blood ran cold. Emma grabbed my arm. "Dad?" she whispered urgently. "That's her." The hidden door started moving. Slowly. And my wife's voice came from the other side. "Emma, are you awake?" The bookshelf slid open. Slow. Quiet. I pushed Emma behind me. The doorway widened just enough for someone to step inside. And then my wife appeared. For a second she didn't see me. Her eyes went straight to Emma. "There you are," she said softly. "I thought you were sleeping." Then she noticed me. Everything stopped. Her face went completely blank. "Daniel?" The word came out like she couldn't believe it. Neither of us moved. Emma clung to my arm. "You weren't supposed to be here," my wife said slowly. You weren't supposed to bring our daughter here, I replied. Her eyes flicked toward the open doorway behind her, like she was calculating something. Daniel, you're misunderstanding this. Am I? I stepped aside slightly so Emma was visible. She's been locked in this room for months. My wife shook her head quickly. No. I was protecting her. From what? She hesitated. Just for a moment. From you. The words felt like a punch. Emma tightened her grip on my sleeve. That's what she told me, she whispered. I looked back at my wife. Protecting her from me? Yes, she said firmly. Because if you knew the truth about Emma, you would never have let her live. The room went silent. I stared at her. What truth? My wife exhaled slowly. Then she said something that made my entire body go cold. Emma isn't your daughter. Emma isn't your daughter. The words hung in the air like something poisonous. For a second I just stared at my wife. Then I laughed. A short, disbelieving laugh. That's your explanation? I said. Emma looked up at me nervously. Dad. My wife stepped further into the hidden room. I knew you'd react like this, she said quietly. React like what? A father whose daughter was kidnapped and locked in a wall. She wasn't kidnapped, my wife replied. I felt my fist tighten. She was hidden. That's the same thing. No, she said firmly. It's not. Emma looked between us, confused. You said he would be angry, she whispered to her mother. I said he wouldn't understand, my wife corrected. I looked directly at her. Then explain it. She took a slow breath. You remember the DNA test from 3 years ago? My stomach dropped. 3 years ago. The doctor. The envelope. The test I never opened. Because I trusted her when she said it was unnecessary. What about it? I asked. My wife looked straight at me. It came back negative. The room spun. Emma grabbed my hand. Dad. But my attention was locked on my wife. You're telling me, I said slowly, you locked a child in a hidden room for 8 months because of a DNA test? My wife shook her head. No. Her eyes moved toward Emma. Then back to me. I hid her because someone else was looking for her. My heart skipped. Who? My wife didn't answer immediately. Then she said something that made everything even worse. Her real father. Her real father. The words didn't make sense. I stared at my wife, waiting for the rest of the explanation. Who? I asked. She hesitated. For the first time since I'd seen her in that doorway, she actually looked nervous. You remember the company investor I worked with years ago? She said. My chest tightened. Yes. That's him. I felt something cold move through my stomach. You had an affair. She didn't deny it. Emma squeezed my hand. I don't understand, she whispered. I knelt beside her. You don't need to worry about that right now. But my eyes never left my wife. So why hide her? I asked. If he's her father, why would he be looking for her like a criminal? My wife took a slow breath. Because he found out about her. And he wanted custody. That's not illegal. She shook her head. No. But the way he wanted to take her was. Something in her voice made the room feel heavier. What are you talking about? She stepped further into the room. 2 months before Emma disappeared, he sent someone to follow her from school. My heart skipped. He said she belonged to him. Emma's fingers tightened in my sleeve. That's why you hid her? Yes. Without telling me? She looked straight at me. Because if you knew the truth, you would have contacted him. I opened my mouth to answer. But suddenly a loud noise echoed from the cafeteria outside. The bookshelf door started sliding open again. And a man's voice came from the other side. Looks like we finally found her. Emma went completely pale. And whispered one word. The bookshelf slid open completely. A tall man stepped into the doorway. Expensive suit. Calm face. The kind of confidence that comes from someone who always expects to get what they want. Emma hid behind me instantly. That's far enough, I said. The man looked at me like I was just an obstacle. So, he said slowly, you must be Daniel. My wife's voice trembled. You shouldn't be here. He smiled slightly. I told you I would find her. My heart was pounding now. You're the investor, I said. Yes. He looked down at Emma. Then back at me. She belongs with me. Emma clung to my arm. No, she whispered. The man ignored her. You've kept her hidden long enough, he told my wife. My wife shook her head. I did it to protect her. From what? He replied calmly. From you. He laughed. That's dramatic. Then his eyes turned toward me again. You're not her father. I know. The words came out before I could stop them. The man paused, surprised. Then he smiled. Good, he said. That makes this easier. I stepped slightly in front of Emma. You're not taking her. He tilted his head. And why exactly do you think you can stop me? For a moment nobody spoke. Then I said something he clearly didn't expect. Because the police are already on their way. His smile disappeared instantly. The man's smile faded. You called the police? He asked. Yes. For the first time since he walked into the room, he looked uncertain. My wife stepped forward quickly. It's over, she told him. You need to leave. He ignored her. His eyes were still locked on Emma. You can't keep her forever, he said calmly. She's my daughter. Emma pressed closer to me. No, she whispered. I don't want to go with him. The man's jaw tightened. That's not her decision. It is now, I said. He looked back at me. You're still pretending to be her father? I shook my head slowly. No. Then I put my arm around Emma's shoulders. But I'm the one who raised her. The sound of sirens echoed faintly outside the building. The man heard it too. He exhaled sharply. You think this is finished? He said quietly. Yes, my wife replied. Because now it's the law's problem. For a moment the three of us stood there. Emma between us. Then the man stepped back toward the doorway. You'll hear from my lawyers, he said. Maybe, I answered. But tonight, she stays with us. Police footsteps rushed through the cafeteria outside. Emma squeezed my hand tightly. And for the first time in 8 months, my daughter was finally going home.